I skipped through. We were out here witnessing Lake WNOV right in front of the studio now. Kind of gets back to all that litter that's jammed up our sewers. And so it's backed up. So on both sides of Capitol Drive, right here on
Yikes.
20th Street, we literally have a lake.
Man, pull out your swimsuit
Yeah.
and your rubber
yeah.
duckies.
And Michelle was preparing herself.
Yeah, she's putting on her rubber duckies right now as we speak.
Rubber ducky.
You're the one.
Remember Rubber Ducky?
Yeah, that was my joint. You make me happy.
So anyway, this is the day after the night before. Let me thank management. I'm just full transparency. I told Michelle and I think I told Debo I'm not always excited about doing Election Central, but Election Central yesterday was really off the chain, and so I really appreciate that. Let me thank Michelle. Let me thank Will. Just conversation. Then all the people who came in and was part of the conversation yesterday. Appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was, even my wife said that it was exciting. People were still talking about it. And if it was up to me, I'd love to do something a little bit more regular. I know Will said when we were leaving that, we should do this more often. The conversations sometimes got animated.
Yeah.
And but that shows just the passion that people feel about their positions, and that's all good.
I think, Keith, what I noted was certainly when you spoke to passion, but it was an opportunity to really see just how passionate folks were. You didn't just get the radio side of it. You saw Will, as Michelle said, come out of his little jacket. The hand movements, the gestures. I mean, it was a good time to be had by all that watched and or listened.
Yeah, it was, and it but you know what it did, and I don't know. Hopefully, maybe we'll get to it this morning. If not, we'll certainly get to it tomorrow. It hit me when it was like when Judge Taylor yesterday said that she had this revelation about what was actually happening at NPS in 2006, and I think I had a revelation here where we'll talk about it, but it's called "Gotta Be Right" syndrome, and it really comes down to it. And look, I suffer from the malady. I know that people do. How important it is for people to be right. And my good friend, Jackie Zeladon's dad, Bobby Crimes, used to say, June, you could be dead right. Some folks, man, it's all about them being right. And we're going to hear you. We're going to hear you. So we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of what that means and what that's indicative of. I was very surprised. I was expecting a long night. When I left, it was pretty much I had gone by my sister's house, and the election was called. You just saw the numbers coming in, and you kind of knew that this was boding well just because of turnout. And I know just observationally, I was just looking over at Atkinson Library, which is a polling site, and it was very steady. And then when you look at the number of people who early voted. And I was saying, not that I am a political prognosticator. My mom is fond of saying some folks can't do wrong right. The fact that Elon Musk interjected himself into this election, I think did more damage. That there were people who came out and listen, I don't know if abortion was an issue that drove folks. I don't know if it was the whole issue around some other issues that might come up before the state Supreme Court. But when he interjected himself into this, it just changed the dynamics. What do we used to say about Trump and back in 2020? Debo is the gift that just keeps on giving.
It keeps on giving.
And it was just like, and I said it a couple of times. I was saying it with a certain level of, I said, boy, I think this is a gift. I think this is a gift. And this is really the first election people got to vote after Donald Trump has been elected. And we saw this happen before. And so when people say, am I surprised? I am not surprised. And we weren't getting a lot of polling. I didn't see a lot of polling. I love to see the exit polling of why people decided to vote the way they voted. And I don't know if Edison, because Edison research are the people I work for them from time to time. They're the people that do the exit polling. And I don't know if that's one of the questions, what motivated you to come vote? But I do think that there was a real blowback from this. I want to say this, and this is, Keith ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer. Don't get distracted.
Yeah.
You everybody wants to say that Donald Trump is stupid. Don't underestimate Donald Trump. You do it at your own peril. And I say that because Donald Trump is endorsing all these cuts that Elon Musk is out doing. You know? And so you focusing on Elon Musk, but you have to look at who's behind the curtain.
That's what I was going to say. I think he's using Elon Musk as the shield.
Right.
So then when stuff break bad, he can say, hey,
that wasn't me, that was Elon.
That was Elon, and I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Right.
And like you were saying,
plausible deniability.
Yeah. And I think, just like you were saying, I think that by Elon Musk and Donald Trump injecting themselves into this race really left a distasteful taste in some people's mouths because of his first 100 days in office and that he's doing.
And look, let's not underestimate, there's people still mad from November.
Yeah.
And normally we'd have to wait to the midterms to express that anger or that discontent. And then Trump didn't help himself. All these changes that he came in and did, we got him? Okay. All the changes that he came and did, it just backfired. So, that's kind of where we are. The day after, we'll get a chance at the 10 o'clock hour to talk a little bit more about this. We're callers. I see you. I'm very right now. We have on the line with us. Oh, actually, he's there. Dr. Speak.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Hey, I want to do this. I don't want to kill your name because I know how people kill my name, my last name.
Yeah.
So pronounce your name and then what we will use to refer
to
you as we do this interview this morning.
Yeah. So first name is Kimo. Last name is Ayun. Kimo is great to be able to refer to me in the interview.
Okay. Well, Doc, welcome.
Yeah. It's good to be here.
And it's not like we're welcoming you to city because you have been a part of Marquette for several years, correct?
Yeah, I've been here for 9 years now.
Okay, so it ain't straight out of Compton.
So right. It's not straight. It's
talk about your journey, man. How you got to become president of Marquette University.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I'm born in Compton, from the LA area. My parents moved to Sacramento when I was relatively young. I happened to be a first-generation student. Neither of my parents graduated from high school. I had 4 sisters. 2 did not graduate from high school. 2 did. It was the only one who ended up going to college and graduating. And, you find a place. I went there and was part of a university and just kept going. My parents wanted me to go to college, and I didn't stop until we ran out of degrees to get.
You talked about the importance, though, of mentors and giving you a sense of possibility. Talk about that.
Yeah, I'm fortunate, and I think about many of the people I grew up with, and some of them who, unfortunately did not get to a good place. And it's about, having people who are willing to help you navigate the system, helping you to be there to be able to answer questions, to be able to show you what is possible. I just had a lot of different mentors who crossed my path. And part of that is, I think it's about having mentors, but the other part is you have to be open to wanting to be mentored as well, and having the humility to say, I don't have it figured out, and there are people before me who can help me to be a better version of myself.
The what attracted you? You're at Sacramento State, correct?
Yeah, that's where I started. I did my undergraduate. Yep.
Yeah, there's What was it? Well, it was local, right? Because you grew up in Sacramento.
Yep.
It made perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of what your college experience was, how were you able to navigate that again? Because you're the first one in your family to go to college.
Yeah. By luck.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you show up there and you meet people and you make sure you talk to counselors. I would say it wasn't a straight path for me. It took me 6 years to finish my undergraduate.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I would say that wasn't as, like at the time, I didn't see that as, boy, this is taking forever. That was just my journey and my path at the time. So I was there just learning, and sometimes I maybe needed to work a little bit more in that semester, so I take fewer classes, and sometimes I took a semester off just to work full time to save up a little bit of money. But it's just like trying to figure out how do you put all the pieces together to pay for everything?
Is there a different type of pressure or expectation because you're the first BIPOC there at Marquette University?
Yeah, I will say I do not put any of that pressure on myself. Where I've always believed is, you're hired to do a job, and how can you be the best person at doing that job? And so, I even talked to President Lovell when he was still alive. Success for me wasn't necessarily taking that next step in life, right? I I did not need to become a president to believe that I made it. Success for me always was just being the best I could in whatever position I was at. And so, with that being said, as I would say, is I don't put any of my own pressure on myself, but I do hear I talk to students, BIPOC students, and it's important to them to have someone who looks more like them in a leadership role running their institution. I talk to community members who talk about having, the first non-white leader at president at Marquette University, and it's important to them. And so it becomes important to me because of what it means to other people. That talks about this is a sign of some changes that are happening around us, and how do we use this change in order to create the type of momentum we need to become better.
Yeah, and sometimes, as you said, it's not so much what you have; it's the expectations that others have.
Yeah.
And especially those of us who have, matriculated in predominantly white institutions, PWIs, when we want to see people that look like us, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know. I understand psychically what it means, but I don't know. Sometimes people who might not be in those spaces might not understand the importance of that, because then it gives you something that you can aspire to.
Yeah, yeah, and that's important. I tell them when I still sit around many tables, um, right? I'm one of the few non-white people sitting around that table. Uh, so when I'm with other presidents and other leaders, uh, but what I would say is just like, how do you continue to represent who you are well? Because I think part of that, all of those things have created who I am today, and to make sure I bring that to the table when I'm having conversations when we're leading. Right, the 27 Catholic Jesuit universities, or the many Catholic universities, or the many private universities.
No, and it's like, if you've ever sat in a class and you might be the only BIPOC in the class, then they're looking at you. So, what do your people think? And I'm going like, well, we hadn't had a meeting, or when we have the meeting, I'll get back. What's going on? God, it'll be on the next agenda item when we have the meeting. So, and there's pressure. I mean, there's pressure. There are expectations. I wish we lived in a world where that wasn't the case, but that sometimes is our reality.
Yeah, and I think all of those, as you know, those experiences are different. And so what I share is you know, a BIPOC from a non-BIPOC person, your experiences and how the world interface with you is completely different. And I'll give you an example of this is my wife is white, and you know, I would talk to her about how the world is different for me than for her,
Mhm.
and her growing up in a small Northern California uh, community didn't experience those same sort of issues. And so, like, I'd come home and I'm like, yeah, I got pulled over by a cop again. And she was like, well, clearly you're doing something. And I
Mhm.
said, that's not the way this is. And like, I could not get her to understand that the world treats me differently than the world treated her. And I'm not saying, and I'm just saying is that's part of the experience you go through that made us different people. It just so happened we were out one night, and it was the middle of the night, and I got pulled over for by a cop and for not doing anything, right? And she was in the car with me, and the police officer, first thing, looks beyond me and asks her, "Ma'am, are you okay?"
Mm.
And
Yeah.
my simple response to this officer was, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
And next thing you know, I'm out the car with my hands on the back of the trunk, you know, legs spread, flashlight in my eyes, and she was just shocked because she had never seen that in her life. And I
Mhm.
said, "See, like this is what it's like." And of course, now she's getting fired up and wants to start talking to the police officer. And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, you need to just slow this down because I'm the guy that's going to get clubbed here, not you." And so I don't talk sternly to her, but I'm like, you need to stop that right now. Like, stop.
I'm laughing to keep from crying because the she tried to help you, man. She loved you.
Oh, she tried to help me, but I'm telling you, as you know, in that moment, that was not help. But what I also tell her is, I said, there's the flip side, and so you know, we keep some things a secret. And I said, there's the nod, and she's like, what's the nod? And I said, like when you're out in the world and you see someone, just like a sign of respect, I said, you
Yeah.
give them the nod.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, like, she didn't even know the nod existed. And so I
Right.
felt kind of bad bringing her into the club when I wasn't supposed to. But like, we're driving down the freeway and someone passes and gives me the nod. And she's like, whoa, like the nod is everywhere. I said,
Right.
the nod is everywhere.
You
And
know
I
him?
said, yeah. And I said,
Yeah.
yeah,
In
it's
a
just
very
like,
cosmic way, I know him,
yeah,
right?
right.
We have
Yeah.
similar lived
And
experiences.
yeah, it's just like I see you, you see me, we're good. And it's so subtle that like she like it happened around her whole life, but she was could never saw it, right?
Right. It was interesting. Kyle Culver, NBA player. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He was in New York. His what was his name? He had a very unusual sounding name, and he had an interaction with the police, and the police ultimately threw him through a window. I mean, no,
Yeah.
yeah, they beat him up, and yeah, and Kyle Culver, he wrote a very nice kind of letter, and he said, my first reaction was, what did he do? Right? That was my reflex action as a white American. What did he do? Because that's not the experience they have with the police. He said, only later did I clearly understand that there's some things historically that has been happening. And this becomes the, for us, it's almost, and I hate to say it's almost like the norm.
Yeah.
Are you, and I'm only asking this to kind of set up this question. Are you Catholic?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I am not. I'm a Protestant, but I have a Catholic high school education, have a Catholic college education. I went to the oldest independent college, Catholic college in America, Mount St. Mary's University there in Emmitsburg, Maryland.
Yeah.
I got a chance to talk to Coach Smart, another one of his guys from the coaching tree. His coaching tree is coaching there at the Mount right now. How do you your leadership, how do you promote the Jesuit education mission there? Your leadership, how does it support that, or your vision supports the Jesuit education mission?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things we're fortunate is to have a really clear mission statement for the university. And if you read our mission statement, which is aligned with the Jesuits, uh, it essentially opens with, we're called to serve God. And that's at the centerpiece of everything that we do. And so, first and foremost, when we're hiring, when we are bringing students to the university, when we're thinking about what we do, we understand that we have a purpose. And the second piece is that gets at it, and this is the Jesuit piece is, well, how do you serve God? Right? There's a lot of ways that we can serve God. And from an institution, we serve God in two ways. The first is that we educate our students in a specific way that transforms their life. And when I talk about transformation, I say is any student who comes to the university, they come in different places, they have different sorts of backgrounds, but they're likely here because faith is an important part and their Catholicism is an important part. And that we are successful at achieving that goal of transformation when we help the student to refine their moral compass to understand what's right or wrong and be able to do the right thing, to expand and broaden their heart to care for other people. So to understand that we're not called just to take care of ourselves, but we're called to take care of others. And the third thing is to do something about it, to engage in action. So have your compass, care for others, and then act on that. And so that's the basis of everything that I do here. Now, the second part of that uh, mission statement is it also says we're supposed to contribute to the world knowledge, and this is with our faculty research. And I say we contribute in a way that we make the world a better place. So that our research isn't research just to do research, but it says, how's the world better? And I would say is that's how we lean into it. I say we also lean into it through how we embrace and engage our community. And we are not called to solve independently the community's problems. What we're called to do is to walk with the community, to work with them in collaboration to figure out is what can we do better. Uh, we have a program called Midnight Run, and I was fortunate to be able to join our students last night. And Midnight Run is a program where we go and help to serve others through providing them food and so, yesterday I go out with a group of students who go there every week to be able to go and be part of the community and say, I see you, I want to help you, and I know food is something that you need. Let me serve you. And these are our students who could be, studying or going out with friends, but yet they choose their instead regularly to go spend time in the community helping to serve others.
And that word service, I know the high school I went to is run by the Cincinnati Dominican Sisters, and service was such a key part of the educational mission there. Even at Mount St. Mary's, there was this whole emphasis on service. I think sometimes we get our college education and we think it's for us. It's not only for us, but it's also a benefit that we bring to the community through
Yeah.
service.
Yep. And I would say, obviously, when we're recruiting parents, recruiting students, and I talk to parents, it's a balance.
Oh,
So,
you recruit the parents too.
yeah, we recruit the parents. At the end of the day, we know there is a purpose that you go to college, and at the end, there should be something. There needs to be your vocation, your calling, and we provide that pathway to be able to do those things because you and I and everyone else will likely have to do some sort of career to be able to pay our way through this life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it. But I would say is any university could help someone, get a degree and become an accountant or get a degree and become a nurse or an engineer. Instead, how are you the university that looks like how do you ensure there's lifelong fulfillment? Right, that's where true peace and happens, and that's where like a true fulfilled life happens. And so, what we at Marquette do is we say we're going to take care of the, making sure you have the right credentials to do what you want to do. But how do I make you a better parent, a better sibling, a better community member, a better employee who's thinking about things that are greater than you?
So your vision was aligned with the mission there at Marquette.
Yes. And that's the only reason why I would have even considered being president here. That's the only reason why. It's one of the reasons I took the leap and left California and brought my family. Three kids who were entering ninth, eighth, and third grade at the time, and my wife who had an incredible job. Because to be able to come from a larger public institution, which is a great mission, but a different mission, to Marquette University, to be able to lead be part of a university that has what I would say is a deeper mission that I felt good about getting up every day and going into work, and then having my children see you could do a job, you can be part of an organization that is focused on making the world better.
And of course, the weather. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't quite prepared for that whole weather piece.
when and I tell people, you know, if they come to Milwaukee like in the spring, the summer, even the fall, you go, oh man, it is so nice here.
Yeah.
And you go, if you really want to live here, come in December.
Yeah.
And if you like us in December, you really like us.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife, we've been here for 9 years, and the whole weather piece still gets her, and she's okay in December and January and even February. It's when it hits April and it's snowing in April. That's when it just drives her crazy, because like it has to stop at some point.
But that weather can get a little crazy in Sacramento, right?
It doesn't get cold.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
It doesn't snow there. I lived there for like 45 years. It snowed once.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a half an inch.
But what about that heat in the summertime?
Oh yeah, yeah. No kidding. Yep.
What are some of the challenges facing Marquette going forward?
I think the challenges we face is the challenge that every university in this country will be facing. You know, we talk about the demographic shift that is happening. That in 2008, the stock market had some serious challenges. At the time, people took stock of their life and said, "I'm not going to have children right now. I'm going to wait." And then, and in the past, when that's happened, then people would wait a year or two, and people did not. There are fewer children that were born. And I would say that's important to universities, because if you take 2008 and at 18, we're at 2026. So the decisions to have fewer children 18 years ago is now sitting at our doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
And that we know in Wisconsin and the adjoining areas, there are just 15% fewer college students, going students that are working through the system. And in the East Coast, it's closer to like 17 to 20%. If you are tracking private high schools, you'll notice they've been having struggles the last 4 or 5 years, because they received that smaller class before we received them. So we are on the doorstep of having to deal with that issue. And think about Cardinal Stritch, think about other universities, like as the result of, I think, the discount rate and fewer, right? It's all impacted them. I think that's the big thing, is that's impacting us about this, the supply. There's fewer students, coupled with the question of the value of an education, right? So a decade ago, people weren't questioning, is it worth it to go to college, right? People weren't questioning whether or not universities were indoctrinating people to have certain sorts of views. And as that narrative kicks up, then then people say, well, maybe I won't go to college, or maybe I'll go to a 2-year college. And I say that's really good, but we know that the data is irrefutable. People who get 4-year degrees have a better life than people who do not. If you think it in terms of your health and your earning potential and your overall life satisfaction. And sure, we can find instances of here's a person who did not go to college and do well, but aggregately taken as a whole, college is a differentiator. And I think about my own personal story. It changed the trajectory of my life. It is something that's important, but not everyone is on the same page now.
What about the sticker shock, the cost?
Oh yeah. Yep. And then again, that's the cost of everything that's going up. And I will say, is Marquette is an expensive institution. There's no doubt. One of the things we like to say, and which is we appreciate, is we are the cheapest private top 100 university in the country. So like, it's still a lot of money. It's still of an investment. but the most recent data, a Marquette graduate, a 4-year graduate, will make $2.6 million in their life. That's the average earning of a Marquette undergraduate. So what I would say is, yes, there's a sticker, but if you know that you're going to make 2.6 million right in your life, that the amount that you would pay is a small amount to be able to open up doors and have opportunity.
And I think the other thing is, I was a one-time college recruiter, and in certain environments, I had to tell people about deferred gratification.
Yeah.
Because you could go out and you can start working now, but 4 years you may or may not be actively in the marketplace of work. But if you look at it, as you just explained, over a lifetime,
Yeah.
you will begin to see that this investment will realize and will be realized, and that you'll have these dividends.
Yeah. Well, I used to run into that when I was teaching in California. So a lot of first gen students, and sometimes they would make bad financial decisions. And I would be talking to them, I'm going to go and buy a brand new car because it's immediate gratification. And I would say, you've strapped yourself with a car payment, with insurance payments, right? And that in 4 or 5 years, that car is no longer new and shiny. And you get on this cycle of always needing to buy that next new car. And I would say is, don't buy the car, save for a house, right? The house is the thing that changes your family's trajectory. That car is not going to make you a different person, other than that first year when you're driving around, you feel really good. It's like, look, I can get these things.
You used this term indoctrination.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between, because you talked about the values, the mission of Marquette University, where it is not indoctrination as much as promoting certain values?
Yep. Belonging.
Or when you say belonging?
Yeah. So I would say that's an example. Belonging. Like at Marquette, we are called to be inclusive, to accept other people, and to ensure that they feel as they belong in a community. That's part of the centerpiece of a Jesuit education, right? Where the Pope calls us to stand with others. The Pope calls us to love people where they are at. And what we know is, and if you think about how are we ensuring that we have a broad, diverse student body who brings different sorts of experiences, and when we bring them to the university, how do we make them feel as if they belong here? Because
I'm sorry.
when they belong here, they feel as if they belong. Our goal is, if you come here, I want you to retain and graduate. If you don't feel as if you belong to the Marquette community, it makes it less likely that you're going to stay here. I want to tether you so that you finish, because the worst thing to do would be to come here and take on debt and not finish with a Marquette degree.
And as you were saying that, I just think about when I'm watching a Marquette game and I hear that chant, "We are Marquette."
Yeah.
And that probably it's probably more pregnant with meaning than maybe people outside of Marquette even understands.
Yeah. And we also sometimes extend that, says, and we will always be Marquette.
Into perpetuity.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier, you were talking about your wife and the experience that she did not have. And I guess I would ask this question: had she been in a probably more diverse community, she might have been aware of some of these things. And I'm kind of getting to, what is the value then of diversity for Marquette?
Yeah. The value of the diversity at a place like Marquette, and you're right, it's about how do we truly understand others, because the world is a diverse place. And this is the time for us to understand. In an ideal world, the university is a place where you go and you listen to alternative viewpoints. You explore that in a civil manner. You work with people and you meet with people who have different backgrounds, and that just helps you to, I think, get rid of some notions that you have that are rooted in some sort of stereotype that allows you to become better as a person. So, for us, it's just bringing differences, and the differences make us better so we can understand them.
Are you concerned about the current assault on DEI and the impact it might have on Marquette?
Well, I mean, I think what we would say is it's part of our religious, it's part of our faith, like that sort of work, and you can call it whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
What I would say is our faith is to love others, to embrace others, and to help others. We were founded as an institution to provide access to an education. And at the time it was for German immigrants, but we would say it wasn't, we're going to be German immigrants in perpetuity. We are about people who need to be educated and want to be educated. So I would say is that like that work is that's our DNA, right? It's built in, and we cannot stop doing that work. And so, change the words. We'll continue to do the work.
You are a urban campus. Your school is in an urban area, and obviously you're abut neighborhoods that might have their own challenges. What do you see Marquette's role in terms of its community reach?
Yeah. It, um, we're required to be a partner. So that the reason why Jesuit campuses, for the most part, you'll find them in urban areas, is because that's part of what we were called to do. What I appreciate is this year Marquette was ranked number one of all universities in the country for students' service to the community. Uh, I think that speaks volumes to the answer to your question. We think that's key to what we do. It's great that we have 11,000 plus students who have also taken on that call, and they donate hundreds of thousands of hours every year to ensure that they are uplifting the community in ways that they can. It's not their job to say, I know the problem here, I'm going to fix it, but it's going to be, I know you are trying to accomplish things. What can I do to help you?
I'm laughing. Is it a great place to major in saving the world?
It is a great place to saving the world. Yes.
Some of us majored in saving the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, and it's a great place to have the opportunities to participate in good of the world. Yeah.
yeah.
And what we hope is when people leave here, and like I said at the beginning, if you're an accountant, you can still go and donate your time and help your community. So you can do your accountant work, and you can do the other things that fill your soul, whatever that is.
So if now you get a chance to be a recruiter. So if I'm a prospective student, you said something that's very interesting, and you not only recruit the students, you also recruit the parents,
Yes.
because the parents in effect are entrusting their children with you, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm a prospective student, why would I choose Marquette?
Yeah. So if you're, I'll go students first, and then I'll talk about parents afterwards. For students, I would say is we have a community of faculty and staff who care about your success. We have standing behind us a support of over 100,000 alums who want to be able to ensure that you succeed. We are a university that puts the students at the center of all that we do. And that we don't chase rankings, but when we do the work that we do, it allows us to be recognized as achieving certain accomplishments. And some of those accomplishments include we are recognized as having the 17th best undergraduate teaching experience in the country. We are 12th best, recognized 12th best in the country about ensuring that our students get appropriate internship experience. We are the 6th best in the country of converting people from degrees to employment. 6th in the country in getting people from completing their degree to full-time employment. We are 23rd the best in the country in the nicest students. We are 23rd best, ranked the best in the country in leaning into its kind of religious views and beliefs. So what I would say is, come to Marquette. if you want to be transformed and you want a community of people who care for you today and will continue to care for you long after you graduate. Come to Marquette if you want to come and to get a degree, but also transform how you embrace the world, you see the world, engage the world, and participate in the world. Come to Marquette if you want to be the difference. And so what I would say is there are a lot of options, but this is just a great community of care that's going to allow you to achieve whatever you desire in life.
And what I was going to geographically, what is your reach? I mean, you're drawing students from Chicago, you're drawing students.
Yeah, so geographically, we get about 70% of our students who come from Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois, and Minnesota. So we're still pretty regional. Like most institutions, they get people close. I will say is I've made a challenge to my enrollment officer, and I said, you have a decade, but in a decade from now, I need you to convert that from 70% in those regions and 30% outside of it to 50% in that region and 50% outside. And so we are aggressively looking at markets like Washington, Arizona, Colorado, Kentucky, the Carolinas, Florida, Texas, to be able to get a greater number of students who don't come from this area. And part of that is, and this is what I talked about, is the downturn in the number of students. If we just stay in this market and only continue to look here, then we are going to we will shrink. But by going out and recruiting students from different areas we did not have before, it's going to allow us to buffer that and be able to keep the number of students we want at Marquette.
A few years ago, I went to the Wisconsin Notre Dame game down at Soldier Field, and we ended up going up to Navy Pier, and I got a sense that there's a lot of Notre Dame alum in Chicago. I just wonder, but I also think that there is a significant number of Marquette alum in Chicago, right?
Yeah, yep. In fact, the CEO of Navy Pier is a Marquette alum. So,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, I just felt
Marilyn
like,
Gardner.
Yep. I didn't go to either one of these fine institutions. Again, I'm from Mount St. Mary's, so I'm going like there seems to be a lot of Notre Dame people here, but expanding that reach, and then I think regionally that regional diversity also benefits the university, right?
Yeah. And here's one of the things, even from just a purely business perspective. If you get a large majority of your students from Illinois, and Illinois State decides to throw more money at education within the state of Illinois, there are certain things that they can do to make staying in state more attractive. And so you're at the whim of what others. Now, if you begin to diversify and spread your students across many states, you can begin to pivot more, and any individual decision in the state will not impact you as much.
How do you see the future of Marquette?
Future's bright. Future's good. We've been around for 143 years. We'll be celebrating our 150th anniversary in 2031. We are excited. I think part of that is like the Jesuits, they talk about living with 1 foot raised. You do not stand in place. And so we have to continue to think about what is the next version of Marquette that stays true to who we are, but the next version of how are we called to do things differently. So as students change their interests, how do we change what we teach in order to match up with their interests? Still, we have to have the core of we talk about faith and reason, theology, philosophy, making critical thinkers. That has to continue to be the core. But what we offer in terms of majors, we have to think about it. If students are no longer interested in that, how do we convert it to be able to create the Marquette student of that wholly inclusive person, but making sure that they have the content that they want?
And I can remember I had a friend when I was in college, and she went to Dickerson College there in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and their motto was "Education's for its own sake." Sometimes that might create a dynamic tension between people who say education for vocation.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that?
Yeah, I think that's always at the balance, right? I mean, you have to have. This is now we go to recruiting parents.
Mm-hmm.
So parents would tell me three things. I've been around education for 30 plus years, been part of university system. There are three things parents care about when they're recruiting. You're recruiting them to have their child come to your university. Number one, is it safe?
Safety. Yep.
Right? They want to make sure, first and foremost, you think about Maslow's hierarchy and think about safety. It's like they want to ensure they're not going to put their child in harm's way. Number two is, can they finish in 4 years? We think about uh, tuition costs. They do not want to pay a fifth year of tuition. So we tell them, not only can you finish in 4 years, but if they want, they can get us. Most of our students can get two majors and finish in 4 years. And the third thing is, can they get a job? Right, that's when they get out, they need to. And I think I have two students, two of my children graduating from college next month. As a parent, it's time for them to transition to that next thing. I need to make sure that if they want to do that instead of go on to grad school, that they have to be prepared to be able to take care of themselves.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. In terms of that, first thing is always the safety, and then certainly because you're in an urban environment, and sometimes the challenges of those urban environments, I'm sure that's number one on their list of terms of concerns they might have their students, their children attending Marquette.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we're fortunate. We're about to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Marquette University Police Department.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to have our own police department who understands the unique needs of students and the greater community, to be able to care and take care of them. The response time is great. How our officers handle community members and our student is great. It's one of the ways that they understand what our mission is and what we are called to do, because they're part of the system.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate that. Anything you want to leave with us?
I just thanks. I think what I would say is welcome people to come and see Marquette, to see all of the things that we are doing, to come to a Marquette basketball game or any others. We want to continue to be great city partners.
My niece is a junior there at Marquette, and I have many friends who are alumni of Marquette. Had an opportunity to talk to all your alumni is distinguished, but I had a chance to talk with Congresswoman Gwen Moore, who's a graduate of Marquette University. So just such a rich history, and the imprint and the impact it's had on our community in a lot of positive ways. It's been great to having this conversation with you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and always happy to come back if you ever want to continue the conversation.
I appreciate that. Dr. Kimo Young, the president. What president? What's your number?
Number 25.
The 20. Wow, that's pretty nice little number.
Yeah,
25th president
Christmas.
of Marquette University. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. Peace. Marquette University. Oh man, like I said, my best friend, two of my best friends are Marquette grads. My my niece is down there now. I had it was on my list of schools to go to, but at that point I was licensed to preach at 18, and they thought it would be better that I go to American Baptist College. But man, maybe the Catholics have had more influence on me than I realized, because then when Mount St. Mary's became a possibility, I was like, oh, I know. She's stuck. She's been stuck over there. You see that garbage bag out there? There's a garbage bag floating. Yeah. You're listening to Community Voice. Phone lines open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Showers and thunderstorms early on, decreasing cloud cover, a low near 40. By Thursday, mostly sunny, high 53 degrees. Friday, partial sunshine, a high around 47. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. The Congressional Black Caucus has forcefully rejected President Trump's executive order targeting Smithsonian programs, characterizing it as an attempt to, quote, whitewash American history. CBC Chair Congresswoman Yvette Clarke and caucus members issued a statement responding to the president's order that restricts funding for Smithsonian programs the administration claims promote, quote, divisive narratives and improper ideology. The CBC said, quote, there's nothing divisive or improper about telling the truth. We detest this administration's dedication to whitewashing our nation's history. Donald Trump's idea that the National Museum of African American History and Culture is guilty of distorting our nation's history or painting our founding principles in a negative light is patently ridiculous. In his executive order, the president claimed the museum had characterized concepts including hard work, individualism, and the nuclear family as aspects of white culture. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Urban Vibes, community conversation where we all have a seat at the table. Join the conversation every first Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. with me, Karen Dotson, from the All of Us Research Program at the Medical College of Wisconsin. We will discuss health issues affecting Black and Brown communities and share how health research can help find solutions in the future. Learn from special guests each month, and please join us at the table for real conversation every first Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. at 860 WNOV and 106.5 FM.
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now.
I was in that march he led in Memphis in 1968, just days earlier. I was 15. Everything he said was prophetic. Look at us and the difficult days we're having now. Back then, all the info we needed was on Black radio. That's when we wanted to know what Black folks had working, not just sitting back scrolling and lurking. One way into the hearts and minds of our children and ourselves is through our ears. People in powers that don't want to see us thrive or even survive. The Voice. You're inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
Welcome back to Community Voice. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can actually see now that the water's out there. It looks like there's a media crew across the street. And we have a young lady. She's stuck in her car right now. I know Michelle had to do some adjustments because she had parked right out. And man, it's incredible.
Yeah, you should see the pictures that I took of Michelle.
Yeah, did she get in all right? She got out okay?
Yeah, but you got to see.
She got a Jeep. They're designed for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, she was sitting high, but man, it was still, man, that water was still pretty high, man.
Yeah. So phone lines open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. If you want to.
Well, good old boy.
Because me and Doug came, we had to walk up almost like a quarter block to get in a dry spot just to be able to walk up.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's going to look like when
when we leaving.
right. And I parked, going north, so it's kind of it's an incline, so the water's running down, but it kind of gets back to part of this is let's see. Okay. It kind of gets to this whole issue because part of it's a sewer backup.
Yeah.
And the sewer backup is because of all the litter and garbage that's going down in the sewers.
Yeah.
And normally they come out and they vacuum. I did see them working around the corner, so I'm sure at this point it's a priority. So DPW will be here soon just to be able to alleviate.
See, but you know what, Keith? This has been a problem for more than 20 years. Like, so what I'm trying to figure out is it's almost like they keep putting a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound that's still bleeding.
Okay.
And it's just like, I mean, I think that, and this is just me personally, I think that if this was a totally whole different area and this happened, if they would take care of it and you wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. It's just my opinion because I've been saying this for some years now.
Well, I think that there's some other areas. I'm not going to go up Burleigh.
Oh yeah, Burleigh's yeah.
But right where you get by the old geysers plant there,
yeah,
you get flooding.
Yeah.
And then I came down Capitol, and I went through, and there wasn't any water there under the what do they call it?
Train. Under the
train
bridge. Yeah.
So there
now it used to be a lot of water.
Yeah.
There.
So I don't know how they resolved that issue there. Now again, I'm not going back that way. It could be now where the water has settled and what it's looking like. But anyway, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. I did get into one of two altercations yesterday. But I mean, you can, this is not a test, but it's a question. How important is it for you to be right?
For me,
yeah.
It depends on the situation.
Okay.
It depends on the conversation and what we're talking about. Now, if it's something that I'm passionate about and I know you're wrong, then I kind of stand on you. Like, nah, you're wrong. And I do everything I can to prove my point. But if it's just like regular conversation and it's my opinion to what I think is true, then I won't push so hard.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just me. Wait, why you give me that look?
Because Butter will melt your wife. I've been here when you wouldn't let it go. What are you talking about?
That's because I was passionate about it, and I was right.
I've been here when you wouldn't let it go.
Yeah, I would let it go when I'm passionate.
Boy, me and Ki go at it, then he go, I'm gonna fall back. 3 minutes later,
Jump
he
right back in.
He jump right back in.
Yeah.
No, but it's and part of this, Will said something yesterday because Will travels the whole state.
Yeah.
And Will was saying that, we're kind of in a silo here. We're in an echo chamber. We talk about it from our immediate experience.
Yeah.
And what's hard for people sometimes is realize that there are people in different spaces who view the world very differently than I do.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think the other thing is how difficult it is to convert an adult.
Especially when you're stuck in your ways.
Right. When I don't know if it was Wendell Harris, I saw he called her. So Wendell, if you listen, he's still calling, phone lines open. But I was saying yesterday, people were talking about the ads and the money.
Yeah.
I think the ads and the money, and here's the other thing. Everybody talks about Elon Musk's money, but she had money too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like when he talked about the Dan Kelly race where Pro Chavis had more money than Dan Kelly. That wasn't the case. She she had
Yeah.
a lot of money. Even talk about her campaign. I think her
Yeah.
campaign was $22 million.
Yeah.
His wasn't even that. You know, I mean, so that outside, and then I guess the question becomes just. So the joke I had with Wendell was, well, for the 8 people who haven't made up their minds at 6 o'clock on April the 1st, make a pitch to them. Because I'm gonna tell you, man, and y'all tell me if you're wrong, you kind of know out the gate, once
gonna
the
vote for.
candidates
Yeah.
are announced, who you voting for.
Yeah, that's true.
Now there could be some cataclysmic thing that happens and you go like, oh, I ain't down with that person, but you know.
Now for me, because I was like that, and then when you start talking to people, then you kind of fall back on, okay, well, maybe, let me see what this candidate has to say.
Right.
Let me see how this candidate feel, because that's how I was. I was like, okay, I'm straight voting for this person. But then after sitting and talking with certain people, you'd be like, okay, well, hold on, okay. But then I actually thought about that too, because I'm the type of person that I really want to ask the real questions. I really want to know the real you. I don't all of the.
But some of the stuff you just
I
can't.
know.
You just. I
know.
mean,
I know.
Now you can do it. Like you just be so totally transparent and just so totally honest. And if you have an aspiration to win a political office, it could have some impact on whether or not you win that office. I think the other thing, and this is Keith's struggle. I tend to try to look at these things from a rational, quantitative, what does the numbers say, right?
Oh, yeah.
If I'm looking at an issue, what does the numbers say? But then I'm deceiving myself to dismiss the fact that there are people, though, as you just say, who feel very passionate about a thing.
Yeah.
And so I've just sitting here after 6 years here, I get it so much at WGOB, but certainly here, where there are people who are trying to convert people. I need to respect the fact that person is as grounded and feels as strongly about their position as I do about mine.
Yeah.
And then it's up to, and this is where it gets very subjective, to say who's right and who's wrong, especially when we're talking about an opinion.
Now, that's where I have the issue with, because you can feel strongly about what you feel, and I can feel strongly about what I feel about. And it's cool until the point of you're wrong and you're right type thing come in, because now it's like, hold on, it's an opinion, but what makes your opinion so much better than mine?
Right. Or what makes my opinion
so much better than yours?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I wish the world would see the world as clearly and as accurately as I do. Yeah. But I guess some people slow the uptick.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of an observation. Here's the other thing. When people tend to lose the argument, they get personal.
Mad. Yeah.
They get personal. You started talking.
Yeah.
You started attacking the person who's making the argument as opposed to attacking the argument. And that kind of gets to why I got frustrated, because I really am a free speech guy. Yeah. I think language is so important, and we should not try to muffle languages. And I can tell you, my wife texted me when we had after the three of us was on, me, Will, and Michelle, and then they had the segment where the Republicans were there.
Yeah.
And my wife, she was upset. But part of the problem is, like, there are people who won't watch Fox.
Yeah.
Okay, but then you're only getting, and then the same thing with people at Fox. Yeah. They're not going to watch CNN. They're not going to watch MSNBC. They're not going to read the New York Times. They're not going to read the Washington Post. I heard this guy, he had quit ministry. And he said that there are two types of people that come to church. Mm-hmm. He said that there are people who actually come to church who are seeking, they're trying to get to a better or a different truth or a better truth. Mm-hmm. And then he said that there are people coming who want you to confirm what they believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is confirmation of where you are.
Yeah.
I think that's why they dread me teaching Sunday school, because I'm going to try to get you off that comfort point, that
Yeah.
little comfort level you at this point.
And make you think.
Yeah, I mean, and it becomes uncomfortable, or hearing a descending thought.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
came up with this little thing, trying to be clever. I go like, sometimes your enemy is right.
Yeah, but
I'm the one that's wrong here.
not only that, but it's also a point that two truths can be right at the same time.
Right.
So it's
And especially now we're talking about subjective opinions, and and you can always Dr. Emil Knockley was the chairman of the political science department at Mount St. Mary's. You took a ding in any term paper you wrote when you put down, I think, I believe, I feel.
Yeah.
He said, say it.
Yep, say it. Yeah. Yeah.
If that's what you think,
yeah.
just say it.
Yeah.
You don't have to say I think or I believe.
Yeah.
And then when we're having fact-based conversations and then someone interjects, I believe.
Yeah.
Now there's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Because as someone says, math and science is truth.
Yeah.
Right? And that's hard for some people. And I've had this conversation where, and it's not like they're making an algebraic conversation. I go 2 + 2 is 4.
Right. Everywhere.
No, not necessarily. What do you mean not necessarily? What? It is 4.
Yeah.
I mean, water is wet. Not necessarily. Generally, water is wet.
Generally, all the time.
All the time, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes it water.
Yeah.
It's one of the characteristics of water.
Yeah.
And so it is in terms of, I don't, so whether it is someone like Al is very explicit in sharing his opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. Or if it's my Republican friends and colleagues who have very strong opinion, people say, well, I don't see how you as a black man could feel that way. Well, just kind of like what Dr. An Young talked about his wife.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a lived experience that you don't know that went into why that person. Randall Kennedy wrote a great book. It's called Sellout. And in Sellout, he talks about people in history. And what he's saying is that not necessarily that I'm embracing their positions or their thoughts, but you might need to be a little bit mindful of where it came from. That's why I want to know as much about your background as possible, because your background, your lived experiences will then kind of give us a light to why you might view the world a certain way because of your life experience, right? Like I might view the world a certain way because of my life experience. My life experience is no better or no worse than anyone else. It's just my life experience. And then I need to have this sense of understanding that everybody didn't have that. And maybe that's the randomness in life that, certain things might happen. And I was in a situation at the right place at the right time, and it was a benefit for me, right? Other people might not have had that opportunity. And I think that we really get into that when we get into issues around, class, education. It was like, well, if I look at the percentage, especially in the Black community, the percentage of Black community where people have college education, it is not the majority. It's a minority. I was chairman of the board of Harambe before, back in the day, and so they had to have, they called it a community professional board, where you had people from the community because it was a community organization, but you also brought in the so-called professional people. And it was always trying to balance the people who went to college thinking they know so much more than the people actually living in the community experiencing what they're experiencing. Hell, I went to college. I majored in saving the world. I'm here to save you. I'll never forget. I love this guy, so I'm not going to call his name, but he was a white gentleman, and he was passionate. He was passionate about the uplift of that community. And I would get calls from people in the community saying, Mike has been over here. And then, they talk about, I don't know what this young white boy coming over here trying to tell me what I need to do. And da-da-da-da-da-da. He don't know nothing. He ain't been here, da-da-da-da-da. I told Mike, I said, Mike, you're operating from a theoretical framework. These people actually live in this.
Yeah.
And so you need to be sensitive and you need to hear
Yeah.
and then be able to translate your college education in a way that they can embrace it and then they can apply it.
That's true, because with certain situations from certain people that grew up in the hood that had experience hearing paramedics and police all night flying up down their street, when you try to have that conversation with somebody that's, I'm just going to use a city that's living in Fox Point or somewhere out there that don't hear that, they don't understand it. Now you can talk to them about it, but they will never be able to see it from your lens because they don't understand it, because they don't experience it like you experience it.
Right.
So it's a totally whole different feeling that they would have when you talking to them about the situations that you experience compared to you talking to somebody that's right next to you that experienced the same thing you experienced.
Right.
The conversation that you're having, they can grasp more to it because they live it, they experience it. So yeah, that's true.
I mean, I had to learn the hard way, because Keith Parris knows almost everything. Only to realize, right? Only to realize that you don't always know what you don't know. Yeah. And to be able to, part of learning is that you go into, and I know it sounds kind of trite cliches, but you go into spaces and I can say this with adults. Adults will say no before they say yes.
Yeah.
You come with an idea? No.
Yeah.
Had you even thought about it?
Yeah, that is true.
Nope.
And I don't want to think about it.
Don't think about it.
Yeah.
And then once you get that kind of shut down, and so that's why when you're talking about, I heard back in the day, they said revolution is a change of mind. Yeah. It's your mindset that becomes revolutionary. It's how you think about a thing. And I even put it in there cautiously, how you feel about a thing. And let me do this because, now I'm doing intellectual diarrhea. There were some very, very, very smart people in this room last night. Yeah. Very smart people. Sometimes I just back up and I go like, wow, y'all some smart people. I don't even know why I'm sitting here because you now look, we don't always value people being smart. My God, he's gonna drive on the medium street. Okay, all right. Now you stuck up there.
Now you stuck, you idiot.
Yeah,
you gonna run into a pole.
Yeah, had you thought about that before you went up on it? Yeah. Okay, come on down, folks. We're doing live, real time.
This is crazy.
People out here trying to navigate this lake.
But see, and this is the whole thing of common sense, man.
So it's just as deep on this side.
It's just as deep on this side, man. You would have been better off going up Atkinson.
What you doing to the grass, man? You putting all
these marks in. Like you'd have been better. You an idiot, man. You a plumb idiot.
Hey, how do you feel about when y'all having a cookout out at Washington Park and Darnell pulls his car up on the grass?
Idiot.
I'm a grass guy. I got a lawn. I hate when I see people do that.
See, well, you don't have to, like this situation here, instead of going through the water, if you look across, you see Atkinson is dry as a fool. Just take Atkinson. Cut across 110th Street.
Across 110th Street.
Hey, Debo had to correct me because I thought it was cut cross. He was like, man, it's a cross. I was like, man,
that is the name of across 110th Street.
But I thought,
is that Bobby Womack?
That's Bobby. But I thought he was saying cut cross. He was like cut cross.
And then didn't was that a sample Jay-Z used?
Yeah. Yep, doing the song. Yeah. He was like across.
He done moved on. Did he get stuck?
No, but you see what he did to the grass, and you see that.
No, I'm looking at him trying to start the truck over here. Okay, he was able to get out,
and he got on shorts.
Yeah, guess he knew. Yeah. No, I'm reading the text and I'm looking. Let's see what
What you say?
he
Debo say
move.
something?
Yeah, someone just texted me and they said in the text, humility is a sobering thing, ain't it? Man, when you find out you don't know what you thought you knew.
But I'm gonna tell you what one of my mentors said to me. He said, nah. He said, if you know all the answers to the questions, you're not asking the right questions.
But
and that stuck with me.
they tell us, and radio hosts don't ask a question that you don't have the answer for.
Oh.
Now, you should be prepared as much as possible for that.
Yeah.
To be able to answer that question. But you're right. I mean, in terms of, I told him Sunday that the test isn't for the test giver. The test is for the test taker to see what, and then a lot of times not so much what you know, but what you don't know.
What you don't know.
You know, what you might have missed in terms of your learning. And, it's overcome. It's interesting that I just had a conversation with the president of a Jesuit institution, because we would always talk about ignorance, and there's two types of ignorance. There's invincible ignorance. That is ignorance. Where did God come from? You're never going to get an answer for that one.
Yeah.
And then there's vincible ignorance. That means that there's something, if you just looked it up, you'll get the answer.
Yeah. You do your due diligence.
To do your due diligence,
Yeah.
look it up. 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. Listen to Community Voice the day after Election Day in Wisconsin. For a lot of people, it's a great day. For others, maybe not so. But like I said, was it November 5th?
Yeah.
I didn't want to come to work that day.
Yeah. You sure said
Oh, I didn't want to come to work that day.
it. You sure said
Oh,
it.
man, I was slept in my clothes last night. I was ready to come to work. You listen to Community Voice.
Bring the
Take a
station
break.
to me.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Oh, they pushed it out. Okay.
On WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
Jesus, that organ solo, man. Oh my God.
Man, did you hear that beat through it?
Man, what?
Oh, man, we almost went to church.
Doc, he had that Leslie screaming on that part.
Yes, sir.
We're broadcasting live from Lake WNOV.
Yep.
Man,
folks.
There have been some cars out there that have stalled out, so be careful when going through those puddles, man. Because,
if you can avoid just going down Capitol, going west, try to find
certainly between
alternative route.
Teutonia and 20th Street, you want to avoid. Well, Teutonia and Atkinson
Right,
on Capitol.
They said 27th is also flooded out.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, so if you can avoid it, try to avoid it. Find another route. You might have to go a little bit out your way, but you're getting stuck there because of that engine.
Yeah, we keep panning back to the street view so you can actually see
what's going on here.
Exactly how bad it is on both sides, whether it's east or west. Both are flooded out. So if you can avoid it, please do.
Or if you got a surfboard, just bring it out and get your Surfing
Okay,
USA
surfboard.
Oh, and there's the benefit of all-wheel drive.
on. Right, yeah, there you have it.
Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Keith.
How you sir?
Doing?
I'm doing good.
Man, I am pumped this morning after that election.
Oh, we had an election?
Talking about Willis.
Man, where I been?
No, but here's what I want to put out here, man, and I don't know if it'll get shot down or what, but I thought about you being a minister, so I thought maybe this would work with the that constitutional amendment for the voter ID. Mm-hmm. And the importance of the upcoming midterms. Now, I don't know if this is happening, but I'm going to put it out here. I think now is a great time for the organizations that have deep reach into our community, such as churches and nonprofits. I mean, they see clients every day. Churches see clients, or I shouldn't say clients, parishioners, Sundays and through the week. I think now is the time to do the push to make sure that everybody has the correct voter ID that they're reaching so that we can be ready for the midterms. We shouldn't be waiting until January or February to start the push. I think we should start the push now. So
yeah, I think you make a good point. But here's the other thing, and I was thinking about this morning because I think it was it 3-1, 2-1 in terms of how that referendum passed. People made the argument, and I can remember the late Eric Vaughn used to make this argument that we need IDs for everything. Now, traditionally, it was that in the past, you didn't need an ID to show up to vote, right?
Right.
But from a practical perspective, like all of us have to go to real IDs if we want to get on a plane or if we want to get into a federal building. So, maybe it is our reality now that people should have. And then here's the other thing. I don't see, and maybe, those real political folks can show me where it's had impact on people who are going to show up to vote.
Well, my thing is this. You said to get in the federal building, get on a plane.
That's for the real IDs.
A lot of us don't go in the federal buildings. A lot of us don't get on planes. Okay? So, those are the people we need to reach, because those of us that do go in the federal buildings and get on planes, we got our ID.
Right.
But there's a big segment of for example, I'll give you an example. You got parents that go to church, but their kids don't, and their kids are voting age.
Right.
The pastor's in there every Sunday saying, hey, make sure these people get their ID. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, the parents going to go to the kids and say, okay, let's get this ID. I think that would be an influence. It's just off the top of my head.
No, I think it's a discussion that you need to have. Sometimes you have to work with what you got. It doesn't look like, and certainly now it doesn't look like photo ID is going anywhere. Yeah. That is part of our reality when it comes to voting. Okay, here at the city, just pulled up. But I agree with you as much as we can educate people. Here's the other thing, though, man. I think you still need. Now, I haven't done public assistance in 16 years. I still think you need a photo ID when you're trying to get SNAP benefits, right?
I would think so.
Right. Or some other form of proof of identity. And a lot of this, obviously it was done for voter suppression. So let's not even get into the motivation behind it. And again, someone called it a solution in search of a problem because we don't have people. Our voter fraud in this country is so low.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's non-existent, basically.
Basically, you're right. And so, but you need IDs for everything. Now, let me give you experience from 2008. We had, just like we're looking at now, we had this bad storm and we had flooding. June of 2008. Never forget that month. That year.
Right.
And
it rained for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah. And then we had that one day where it just like it stayed over us and we got all that rain. So we had flooding. It was crazy. They said the only thing you needed to get emergency food stamp benefits was a photo ID. Everybody had a photo ID.
Everybody got
Yeah. I'm telling you, we didn't turn anybody away because they didn't have a photo ID, because for that purpose, they had a photo ID.
Yeah, but hey, food means more to a lot of people than voting. Okay?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So yeah, if I got to have photo ID to eat, I'm going to get that ID. But, if I got to have it to vote, let me
but in the long term, it could impact your eating.
Yeah, but
because if they cut those SNAP benefits,
a lot of people don't understand that. What you just said,
right?
They don't understand or get that. Right. They say, I'm eating today, so I ain't worried about it.
Until tomorrow when they go in and they cut it.
Yeah, and then it's too late to go get a photo ID because you didn't vote.
And I don't know who was talking about, who did we have in? And they were talking about how when we went to photo ID, one of the reasons why you can get a photo ID and a birth certificate free for voting is that if you charge, it would be considered a poll tax. And poll tax were outlawed
with
the 65 voting rights.
Right. And now so they had to make it free. Grudgingly, they made it free.
Exactly.
They didn't want to.
Because at first, the county had set aside funds for people
I want to make
for
this
their
point, and then I'm going to get off and let somebody else talk to you. But here's the thing. My wife went to get her ID yesterday.
Okay.
And here's a loophole and something that's not on the website. Her birth certificate had her maiden name.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so a lot of women out there, maybe even men, she has, now we have to wait for our marriage license to come from Vegas so she can go back out there and get her ID, because they said, oh, you're married now? Where's your marriage license?
You get married in Vegas?
Yeah. Hey, man, I had to, man. Family was cutting up. And I loved it. Family was cutting up, man. We went to Vegas.
So you couldn't throw a wedding here. You had to go to Vegas.
I had to go to Vegas, man. To have a decent one.
Kind of like Martin and Gina when they got away from the family.
They had to get away from the family, man.
Yeah,
you're right, though, man. Now, I'd have lived as I come up on my wedding anniversary. Yeah, family could be, we had some thoughts on how we want to do our wedding.
Right.
And when we had family members who had an opinion on how we're going to do our wedding.
Right. And telling us what we're going to do in it and how
at our wedding.
Yeah.
Keith and Rhonda's wedding.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
John Henry and Diane's wedding.
Right. You come, but and it's nothing like, oh man, we talk a lot about funerals. But Lord, weddings,
I'm telling you, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's move on.
All right, y'all have a good day, man.
Unforgettable.
Everywhere. Unforgettable. Yeah, Doc.
Is that Negro singing to you? Welcome to the program.
Keith, there you go.
Looking like Big Red at the funeral. Did he just bring you a rose?
Did he just look over his glasses?
Get off the organ and took over a rose. Unforgettable. Call it, welcome to the program.
What's going on? A long time around here, brother.
Don't talk to. What up?
Oh my God.
Man, y'all was having difficulty with y'all phone lines. That's why.
Oh no, we good now. We can straighten it out.
Oh, y'all, what y'all got? Y'all got T-Mobile or y'all got rid of US Cellular?
Nextel, man. Don't move to Nextel.
But don't jinx us talking about it, all right? What's up, man?
Okay. I got two things, Mr. Child Support.
Oh no, I don't want to do that, man.
Hey, you're gonna have to hear this one, Abu.
No.
Hey, matter of fact, I'm gonna say it before DJ can get on the radio.
You know what? I think we might have the child support people on Monday. I don't know if
okay. Well, this one gonna be a doozy for you.
Okay.
The Anthony Edwards situation, where he didn't want to have the baby by the girl, and she put him on child support.
It's still his baby.
So, yeah, I know. He said it was still his baby, so he went and paid all the child support for the 18 years, so he ain't got to deal with the baby no more at all.
People do that though. I had a buddy. He settled with the mother of his child. They came up with an amount. He gave her that amount. No, he still did for his son,
Of course.
but the regular child support
It's cut.
is cut.
Yeah, he paid the whole budget, but he don't want to deal with the child at all.
Okay, man. Well,
He should
I know, but I was just saying I never heard of it.
wrap it up.
But who was the dude who was talking about his first two kids were born in lust?
Brian McKnight.
Brian McKnight.
Oh, they was on him though. They was on him.
Brian
He's an
McKnight.
idiot, man.
What does that mean?
He's an idiot.
All kids are born in lust. They're created in lust, man.
He's an idiot, man.
And you had two. If you said one, you might have but you had two.
So you knew what you was
Wait, and part two, and this one for you, right out. I wish Michelle was on the show. Right out, it is true. I've DJ'd a woman's wedding that I have had sex with before, and sold food to her and the husband before.
Yeah.
So it has happened.
Yeah.
It has happened.
I'm telling you,
Did he
man,
know?
it's a real thing.
Hold on. Did Scotty know?
No, Scotty don't know.
So Scotty didn't know. Scotty don't know. Scotty know.
Hey, what Debo song say on blues? What about cheating in the bedroom?
Okay. Well, I'm not saying it don't happen.
Oh, but it has happened.
I'm sure it
trying to
happens
tell
a
you,
whole lot.
I'm a witness of it.
I'm sure it happens a whole lot. And then wait a
But
minute.
but it did happen after though. It wasn't during that period of time. It was way down the line. But I'm going to get the money, man.
Right,
I'm going to get the money, man.
You right. Go get that does.
Yeah. I don't know what y'all talking about.
Ain't got nothing to do with it because it's been the same.
Hey, we don't need no counselor to tell me I'm going to get that money.
No, Doc, I'm gonna go get it. Talk your talk, Charlie. I'm with you.
Scotty don't know. Everybody do but Scotty. Everybody do but Scotty. You know, when she walked down the aisle, they going like, "Oh, you up there part of?" He said, "You know, she used to kick it with the DJ." Right? you know, they gonna say it out loud. We call it murmuring. You know.
Hey, doctor, was playing?
No, but you can tell when somebody's talking about you. The mouth is moving, but the eyes are looking at you.
Yeah. Oh, you can feel it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can feel it. Like what Scotty don't know.
Man.
Ooh, maybe your baby done made.
Hey, man, I tell you that when it happened to me, I just played under the unction of the Holy Ghost.
Or he played his heart out. He over there crying on the organ.
Hey, Keith, he played his soul so good.
Unforgettable.
Remember me? He went through all his clothes.
Dude, terrible.
Hey, got the nerve to say, "Hey, man."
Right. God bless you. God keep you.
God love you. God love you.
Respectfully.
Right. You're my JTO.
Respectfully.
Let me tell you something, though, man. What's that Michael Frank song? Your Secret Safe with Me.
Oh.
Those that talk don't know, and those that know don't talk.
Hey, that brings me to a video I seen on Instagram where the guy was doing the eulogy at the guy's funeral, and he said, if y'all don't know such and such, and I don't know if he's saying this, but whatever he said, he ended up telling the whole church what he was supposed to say.
You told on himself.
He told on him after he didn't die at the eulogy.
It's an inebriate.
Yeah.
You need to be careful of that microphone because you be feeling all full of yourself and you say the wrong thing.
but you could tell he had some of that sauce in his system. Yeah, and he just went and got the shooting at the at the podium in front of the whole funeral.
We was over. We had it wasn't a ghetto funeral. It was a neighborhood funeral. People there who lived in that neighborhood. They came over, and I'm only doing this as a quote. So hopefully we don't get in trouble with the FCC. So I'm sitting in the pulpit, and pastor's sitting in the pulpit, and now it's open mic, and dude get up.
Oh boy.
The thing I liked about Dre didn't take no. Pastor looked at each other. Let's hope he keeps moving. Then he kind of realized where he was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, when
it got real.
Yeah, you know, when people get so like when they're doing the interviews sometimes with the athletes, and that's why they say you don't want to do it right after the game. Yeah. And what was that? Michael Graham played with Georgetown. Remember, he started cussing. He started cussing.
Elvis just did it too.
Well, he got baby issues.
Yeah, I cuss too. Yeah, you right.
You know, and let me say something, man. And I ain't putting it just on Ant. Some of you dudes who are athletes, if you want an athlete, you weren't gonna have no babies.
But Keith, though, the thing, Keith, but check this out though. Look how old he is, and look how old she is.
How old was she?
I think she's like the mid-30s. He's young 20s.
See, but she did that.
She was going for the dollars and cents anyway.
Yeah, she did that to trap him. But then again, you can't put it all on her because
you know what they told me? They said ball players learn. Take your condom with you.
But this is
don't
the
throw
thing,
the
though.
condom away.
But
take the condom with you.
Yeah, because they can poke a hole in it.
No, they can just take because how much sperm does it take to create a baby?
But if that sperm hit the air, it kills it automatically.
Yeah, but if it's in the condom,
yeah.
But that dude didn't have none of that. I don't even know why y'all even having that conversation.
Yeah, that cat though should have wrapped it up.
But wasn't that the issue with Kobe?
Yep, and
she wanted him to.
But yeah, I think they was messing around. And
you talking about the white girl?
Yeah. I think that.
I think what it was she was consent to, but I think Kobe went a little hard in the paint.
No. Kobe's young. Kobe don't think. Kobe's at that point in his life didn't realize that everything comes with a price.
You better believe
it might not be money. It could be time. It could be attention. But it's coming with a price, and I guess her reaction was the way he treated her afterwards. Because
what did he say? Shaq did it too.
Yeah. I go.
That was another reason why. You know what? I loved him as a player.
Yeah, but he was.
I had a problem with him sometimes as a human being.
Well, yeah, that's why Parker whatever got into it with him, man, and they traded him after.
No, it was the other dude. Who was the other dude? He came back to the Lakers. D'Angelo Russell.
Oh yeah, he went back. Then he go back.
Well, Shaq did it too. Come on, man, that's weak. You the one that got caught, not Shaq.
Hey, the dude who robbed him for $10 million at U.S. Bank ain't gonna tell on his homie unless he got caught.
Yeah, that depends on if he's with Rat Out.
Or Debo.
Rat Out.
Oh, I'm gonna tell.
Rat Out.
I'm telling. Call me Ratatouille.
Wait a minute. Michelle went in the studio 3 minutes. It wasn't me.
Hey,
it was him.
Oh Lord. Hey man, I turned steak quick. Real quick.
Yeah, you did.
Behind the screen to put a hood on his head. Like he's going to witness protection.
They blurred out my face and everything, man. I got to talk.
Altered his voice. I should have been watching this on YouTube. I'm going. No, he said this here. Caller, welcome to the program.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning to you. I'm kind of lost, man. I got in waiting on something else, but y'all been everywhere else. What's the main topic here? Because I was getting here when I heard my man talking about the voters ID thing. And that's the same gentleman. I think they always call in and give me a black eye. And he doesn't have himself a.
Well, Will Martin certainly appreciated the Band-Aids you brought for him last night.
Yeah, he needed some Band-Aids, man. So, The Band-Aid is just to stop the bleed. You needed some stick.
Meech said, yeah, you needed the Band-Aid.
Cut Will, boy, took that coat off. He said, let me take this coat off.
No. That was a little jacket, as Michelle said.
That little jacket.
Take that little jacket off.
I think Will did a pretty good job handling himself, man, by himself.
Oh man, I think that everybody did. Yeah, I think Will. First of all, Will can take care of himself.
Oh yeah.
And I love when he told was it George? He said, "I pay for this."
Oh yeah. Oh
This
yeah.
is mine. I pay for this.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I'm gonna say this. I'm not directing to George. Anybody. Part of it is that when you take calls, obviously he's trying to get a message out.
Yeah.
And Meech, this experience, right? So what happens is you can't even get your message out because everybody's calling in.
Yeah.
And so if you're just trying to get that message out, because it is a commercial, it's unfettered. You're trying to get that information out because people are going to call in. They want to fact check you. They want to challenge you, the whole thing. And you're trying to get the message out. Now, y'all can take, and then this other thing, people that listen to these programs, they grown ass people. Yeah. If you can't hear something that you don't agree with, I done
had a man. I had it rough in there.
Oh man! Oh dude!
A guy called me and told me I was snitching.
Oh,
I said, you bring me people with. He said, you was snitch, but this what tripped me out. Because I know who you is. You was snitching back there with what's the guy's name? Big K. I said, man, do you know how old I am, man? Big K is an old man dead at this point. He said, you snitching, you big K. I said, bro, where you coming from? So I done had all kind of stuff, man.
I
even had my sister call in one time.
Is that right?
Yes. My sister called in and said I was doing it. Man,
she called my program.
His sister, Meech's sister.
Yeah.
What? Right Out had his sister call too.
She told him.
I mean, did she give him a black eye?
Yeah, she gave him a black eye.
Meech's sister wasn't being very nice.
Gave me a
She called my program. You absolutely correct, Meech. I forgot all about that, man.
Man, they did ugly, man. Your family called in and say he went down there about miles and he got ugly, man. They come out of food.
I do remember that. Yep. No, I just think we need to, get to the point where I think I'm going to read it this weekend. Cicero's book on the argument, how to do an argument, but it is what it is. Man, it was good seeing you yesterday too. Cicero, the argument.
Okay, I'm gonna probably look into that this weekend, but I'm gonna get on out of here. The Cicero, you said the art of argument.
Yeah. You know what? I'll announce it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let me look at it. But Cicero being an ancient philosopher and the whole art of
But the art of argument. Okay, my main man.
All right,
okay,
appreciate you, man. Like I said, good seeing you yesterday. I forgot when his sister called in. It wasn't nice.
Jermaine's sister wasn't nice. She told some things.
I'm so glad, man, that the statute of limitation is up because, boy, I'd be in prison right now.
I had a couple of times my sister in the car, then I hear like, "It's your sister." Like, how'd you even get the number? You about calling me at work. Let me thank Dr. Kimo Ayang, the president of Marquette University. Let me thank all the callers. Debo, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Jermaine, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, good Lord, Willie Creek on Rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.